Hello Internet, welcome back to our Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead series. In the last episode we explored a small town, looting the local houses. Really didn't find anything interesting. We're kind of past the stage of the game where house loot is going to do anything for us. Then we moved out of town a bit and we explored a local farmhouse. This was a little bit more interesting. We did find some rose hips in their greenhouse, which then we looked up the recipe for rose hip tea, which does not apparently exist. And that's really all that we did in that last episode. And so in this episode, we need to review our plan because I learned some new information that has changed what we're going to be doing. So in the last, honestly, like 7-8 episodes, several hours, real life hours of playtime, we've been driving around in hopes of finding a science lab, and unfortunately what I learned recently is that the science labs have been changed. I remarked multiple times while we were exploring that it's possible something was changed and shook things up, and apparently that is exactly what happened. So the science labs typically, 6 months ago, they would spawn in locations like this, where it was just kind of out of the way in the country, these random spokes, and so that's what I've been exploring in hopes of finding a science lab. Now, unfortunately, there was a change. I think it was back in January, which I just missed because I don't know when it was, but I haven't been following the development as closely now that I'm not doing my update show. So there was a change a while back that made those science labs unique, and unique is a flag in Cataclysm that I believe limits them to 1 per overmap. And I can't show you what an overmap is because it's not something easily visible. But it's a huge area. So like if we looked all the way over here, for instance, this could still be the same overmap as way over where we actually are. It's a very, very large area. And the only way I could illustrate exactly how big would be to use the debug menu, which we're not going to do. So science labs have been made substantially more rare than they used to be, which is a real bummer because they gatekeep the end of the game. They have the mutagen, they have the tools for making mutagen. They have the recipe books for mutagen. They have autodocs. It's one of the only places I don't think I've ever found an autoclave anywhere but in a science lab. Obviously, the bionics there are very valuable. It's a very valuable location that currently is where you go for the end game stuff. And with that change, it makes it substantially more difficult to get access to those things. Now, from a realism perspective, this makes perfect sense, right? A science lab, a secret government science lab, is not something that would be everywhere like they used to be. But it's a huge gameplay issue that we no longer have them. So what I've been told by members of the community is that I really should look for 2 things. Number 1 are subways, because subways can have central labs attached to them. Most of the time they're going to have labs that we don't want, but there's a 1 in 4 chance of having a really good lab that we want to explore. And we have seen some subways, but they were very, very far away and through some very dense towns. So I think we may investigate that. And then the other thing I've been told is that office towers now have a top floor that can have a lab generated in them, and that those are pretty common. People told me that's the new meta, is to go to office towers. Problem is, I don't think we've seen a single office tower, so I don't really believe that that's meta. We see doctor's office, and we're going to flip through these. We tab through these now. We're looking for office tower, which we have not seen any of. So people told me that they're common and that they show up basically in every town. That's obviously not the case. We've explored many, many towns at this point. And we just haven't found any of those. So I guess we're going to go looking for a subway. I actually think this is a really bad change. I think that, like I said, for realism, I think it makes sense. So we're going to head back in the direction of that subway. But the fact that there's only 1 subway, where did I even see this? Oh my god, it's so far away. Okay, we're gonna have to do a lot of driving to get back there. That's super fun. So we're gonna head to that subway. It's only 1 station, so I bet it's not even got a lab in it, but we literally can't do anything else. So the reason why I think this is a bad change, it's not because they made them rarer per se. I actually think they should be rarer. They used to be, you would find 8 of them, multiple science labs, multiple, regular labs, all kinds of stuff all over the place. So I think they were too common. Why is my computer whirring up like it's using all my resources? Avira update service host. No, thank you. Please stop trying to update. No one cares about you. You're a free to use virus software. You're not even any good. Okay. So I don't think reducing them is the issue, because I think it makes more sense to have them reduced. My issue is that they're currently really the only location that has that kind of loot. So what it feels like is that they reduced those spawns, but they did not actually make those items spawn anywhere else. And I understand that CBMs are going to go through a major rework in the near future. So obviously, you know, that kind of changes would wait until after that rework comes down. But gotta be honest, the fact that I just cannot get CBMs and mutagen, like, I've already wanted to quit this playthrough, to be perfectly honest, because we've been doing nothing. We've been driving for literally hours and hours and hours of real life time, and it should not be that hurdle. Like, that should not be the hurdle to the end game. The end game should not be gated between me having to drive through map after map after map to find one location. The end game should be accessible but challenging. It shouldn't be gated by time, in my opinion. So I really don't like that these things don't appear anywhere else. Like, where else do you go? Like, honestly, you all play the game, presumably many of you play the game that are watching this. Where else do you go to get mutagen? There is nowhere else. It's just in the labs. Maybe you find like an autodoc basement or something that has some mutagen and CBMs in it. But that's obviously a rarity as well. So where do you go to get mutagen recipes or mutagen? You go to a lab. It's the only place in the game that has that. And suddenly now I have to drive for, because we've been driving for like, I don't know, probably 10 episodes total. And that's like 5 hours of my real life has been gone just driving around looking for one thing. So I think that that's a poor decision from a gameplay balance perspective. It just seems like a really terrible it just seems terrible, and I'm not trying to badmouth the person who did it. I don't think that it's your fault. I just think that if you want to reduce those type of spawns, there needs to be a discussion about opening them up to other locations, making them more common. You know, I don't know with mutagen, it's so tricky because I don't know the lore of Cataclysm. Obviously, at the moment, bionics are locked to government like experimentation and certain zombies. But in order to get CBMs, even if I dissect things, I need an autoclave, which you cannot craft. It's only obtainable in a few certain locations. And I believe the autoclave can spawn in doctors' offices, but it's not a common spawn. So since we're going in that direction anyway, we should swing by this doctor's office since there's one in this town right here. But the others that we found are nowhere near it. So yeah, and we're going to need to clear through this town anyway to get access to the subway. It's just a lot of headache. I'm excited because now I have something to work towards, whereas previously I did not know what to do with myself because we've just been driving and finding nothing. At least now I have something else I can look into. But even the subways, how many subways have we seen? We've seen what? There was one in I think the very first town we started in. There's one here. These are all in unexplored locations. However, Parsons Field here seems to have a huge cluster of them. And what that likely means is that the subways run, you know, all through this town, which means we would be more likely to come across a lab, I think. Unfortunately, it also has the manholes, which I think lead to sewers. And since the sewers and subway are on the same level, there might be some weird map gen stuff going on. That's far to the north, though. Let's, where is that town exactly? Parson Field? What is this? Sebec. I don't know. So Parsons Field, I don't know. Can you search Parson? No, you can't search by city name. It was on the outskirts of something we had previously explored. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse. Like I said, I'm kind of recovering from a cold. Yeah, and you can't exit. So if I search for subway, I can't exit that screen and stay where the map is. So there's no way for me to look and see where this town is because I can't move off of this tile. And if I hit escape, I just leave. So if I go, we can see it's explored and it's near a river. Okay, so let's track the river, I guess. Explored near a river. I mean, this is just miserable as well. I'm not going to subject you to me flipping through the map trying to find something. So I'm a little irritable, I guess, with the changes and stuff. I just feel like I've been working on this save for a while, and I feel like we're not progressing at all. And I feel like it's kind of arbitrarily locked behind this rare location. Because, like, what else do you do? We have all the guns we need. We have all the ammunition we're going to need for the rest of this playthrough, probably. Oh no, do not go to the FEMA camp. What are you doing? Took a wrong turn. Let's flip around here. So we have all the guns we want. I mean, sure, we could do with like a 50 cal or something. But we have all the bullets we need to finish the game, basically. And we have all the tools we need. Honestly, the only book we're missing is like the high tier melee weapon books. And armor books would be nice if I could craft myself like, you know, a warhammer or something. But like, that's the only realm of improvement really there. We have a forge, we have welders, we have a vehicle that we've got set up nice and neat. We have a freezer. What else is there to do in the game, frankly? Oh, this is the Migo Tower. We're gonna avoid that, of course. It's like, what else do? You know, you gotta hit a lab. There's just nothing else to do. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this was a step backwards for gameplay. Like I said, I think realism, it makes sense, but I think it's a step backwards. So we're gonna head down to this subway. It's the only one I saw nearby, and I don't know how to pinpoint the other locations as established, so we just don't know where the other subways are. I mean, if we backtrack through all the area we've been to, I think the very first town we were in, which is a very, very long drive away. Okay, so this one has a lot of subways as well. We can head here secondarily. This is where we were in a base for a really long time, I believe, right up in here. Correct? We were settled into... No, it was down here, near, because the roadblocks were here, if you recall. And yeah, we settled into a base right here, I believe. So this is our old stomping ground. A lot of these areas have been cleared out. Like, we could get to this subway really easily. All these other ones are located near parks and pools, which of course are just chock full of monster density. I'm disappointed because I feel like I've wasted a whole bunch of time, but sorry, we've talked about it too much. 12 minutes we've been talking about this too much. So yeah, but anyway, that's a change. I don't really think it was a particularly good change, and let's just move on to something else. Yeah, a little irritable today. I mean, it's about 7 p.m. at the moment. I wanted to record, you know, hours ago, and then my neighbor mowed and weed whacked his lawn, which took him about 2 full hours for a very small lawn. I'm not sure what he was doing, but couldn't record with that right out my window. So just a little salty today, a little salty. I just, it's such a feels bad when you think you're doing the right thing, and then you find out all along, like, no, you weren't doing the right thing. You are being punished, basically. I wasted 10 hours of my life looking for, or 5 hours of my life looking for a freaking lab. All right. So thankfully, this subway is not located near any huge monster density locations, no parks or anything like that. Looks like there's an NPC here. I don't know who that is. I think we saw them driving by and we didn't stop. There's a gun store here. So I think what we'll do, there's a pool down here though. I think what we'll do is settle into one of these 2 houses or park here anyway. And then we'll go on foot and gradually clear the town until we can get across. Because we do want to check this doctor's office, excuse me. And there's some other buildings of note here. And the open sewer, of course, is an opportunity to get some CBMs. And we'll work our way over to the subway. It's not great. It's not a great town, but there are a lot more buildings here. Remember, we saw that bookstore. There are 3 bookstores, 2 bookstores and a library really close. They are near a pool, which at this stage of the game would have a lot of upgraded swimmer zombie types, but I guess we'll just spend a few episodes of tedium shooting a bunch of zombies, so we'll do that. It's to be expected. Now, driving through this town, I don't think we hit anything going through this one, at least this end of town. No, just stay on this path. Oh, there's a cop car in the way, so that's fun. Try not to hit the car. I don't really care if you hit the zombies. I forgot to turn my sound down, so I'm hearing quite a lot of booming. And there's someone in my car. Hello, zombie dog. I always forget to close my doors. And I think we'll settle... Yeah, we'll go out here and we'll settle down to the south here. And we're going to be doing a lot of shooting over the... Of course, there's a horde out here. Why is there a horde in the middle of nowhere? Why are you all in this yard? What's going on? Acidic zombie? Oh, you don't look very acidic. I would have never guessed that by looking at you. Hazmat zombie as well. People keep telling me I should wear hazmat gear because it's pretty good armor. I don't know if that's correct. What are you? Batwing zombie. Alright. Might as well. How far south were we gonna go? Yeah, there's still... That horde's still gonna be a concern. But let's swing south and we'll park down there. Maybe we can hit a few with our car. In fact, why don't we do that? It's easier than hitting the fire button over and over and over. We'll just try to make a priority to hit a few of you with my vehicle. Acid pools, you're insulated from them if you're in a vehicle tile, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll just swing around. I mean, we have a lot of gas as well, so this is a, you know, an ideal way to deal with the horde. People joke all the time that the best endgame weapon is a vehicle. I see we completely lost our windshield, which will allow some of them access to our car, but I'm not really concerned about it. Honestly, the only real concern I would have... Oh, you're a survivor zombie? You're actually not great to have in the vehicle because our spear is not going to penetrate their armor very well. But the main concern there would be getting a brute or something in your vehicle. That would be very, very bad indeed. But none of them were brutes, so not super concerned. Please die, cop zombie. Thank you. So that looked like that was the majority of the horde. I could bandage while I'm driving, but I think that would actually be a not great idea. So we'll stop driving. We'll go ahead and apply our bandage. We should put a windshield on this when we get a chance as well. Pop out. Go ahead and grab the M4 and we'll leave our spear here so that we don't accidentally forget where it's at. And when we come back to the vehicle, we'll see it immediately. Survivor zombie only has a hatchet on it. This is actually really peculiar map gen. Normally they would be naked if they resurrected, so the fact that it spawned with just a hatchet and a cash card is very peculiar. Oh, I bet we ran things over. That's probably what happened, and then it destroyed those objects. Hatchet in really bad condition, but I don't think we have a hatchet. We might as well drop that in our vehicle while we're right here, because that's a larger item. Don't need cough syrup, don't need the antibiotics. We can take more cough syrup as necessary, but I think our symptoms are still being suppressed. We still have a common cold despite having a very high health value. That's something that's going to take some time to process. Go about our business pulping these corpses. Of course, it's important to do that after doing something like running over a bunch of zombies. Cop zombie, nothing on it, unfortunately. No riot armor, just some riot helmet, which is not super interesting to me. Hazmat zombie, same thing. We talk about this all the time on Discord. The hazmat zombies very frequently do not drop hazmat gear, which I think makes absolutely no sense. If you have a zombie that's named specifically for the gear it's wearing, it should drop that gear 100% of the time. We want to dismember the acid zombie instead of pulping it. Did not have any loot on it, possibly because we ran over it. Looks like a second acid zombie as well, which I'm surprised by. I only saw the one. Nothing there. Sleeveless duster is not bad, but I don't think we need that. What are you? Yeah, second acid zombie. A bit unusual to see two of them that close and not... I think it's because it's the tile set. I just didn't recognize them. It's unusual to not notice when you have two acid zombies because you really, really pay attention to those. So, Survivor zombie did not have anything on it. And then we'll do a big zoom out and make sure we got all the corpses here in a moment. Honestly, pretty painless. I don't see any other corpses. I think we're good. Oh, good. My neighbor is weed whacking again. And this dude, I swear to God, he took 2 hours to weed whack his lawn and to mow his lawn. I don't know what took him so long. His yard is very small. He's right outside my window. I guess I get to stop and just wait for this guy to stop. Alright, sorry about that, internet. He has moved off down further of the house, and I'm going to continue recording because it's been about 35 minutes and I just cannot sit here anymore. My whole day has been lost to his lawn work. And honestly, as I was sitting here, I was furious and angry that, he's eaten up my whole day with making noise and how frequently I complain about his kids and things like that. But then I felt bad because, like, this whole episode has been me complaining, and I don't want that to be my content. So I apologize for being really salty today. I just honestly just not having a good day, and I try not to record when I'm having a bad day, but I'm a little behind in my Cataclysm recording. I did record some circadian dice that should be going up on the channel very, very near in the future, so there'll be more for you to watch. But I'm a little behind in my other footage, and I just get real angry. You know, it's one of the things that hurts my YouTube channel the most, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of reasons people don't watch me. People tell me sometimes, like, oh, you don't min-max. I don't want to watch someone who just plays the game. Why are you doing this when you should be doing this? And I always tell people the same thing. I'm like, hey, that's not really what I'm about. You know, if you don't like the content, that's okay. You know, Vormathrax min-maxes, why don't you go watch Vorm? You know, that's totally fine. You know, if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. But people will say stuff like that, or they'll say, like, why doesn't he do this? Why is he doing this? Why whatever? And then, people say, like, I'm not going to watch you do this. And that's fine. You know, I always get a little annoyed when people are like, I hate you, so I'm just going to stop watching you. Like, you don't have to tell me that. You can just leave, and be mildly respectful about it. But, whatever. People do that. And then the other main comments I get that are really negative. He's still weed whacking, by the way. I don't know if you can hear it. It's further away, and I'm just going to push through because the content has been not great. The other main complaint I get from people are like, this guy complains too much and gets angry. Or sometimes people will be like, wow, that's really dark. He's talking about really dark stuff. And I've been working really hard to keep that out of my content. We don't talk about death like we used to. When I first started, I talked a lot about, like, my being abused as a kid, things like that, really dark stuff. And I've gotten away from that for the most part, and I think my content overall has improved significantly over the last year or so. But there's still days when I'm super irritable, and things are not great, and I get real salty over stuff, and I don't think it's fair to you as the audience, which is why I mainly focus on trying not to do that anymore. Plus, it hurts me, like, it hurts my channel. So I apologize. Every now and then something like this happens. And the whole driving and not finding a lab thing, that just feels so bad when you spend so much time doing something and then someone's like, oh yeah, that was a complete waste of your time. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's just such a horrible experience to have that happen. I'm sure once I acclimate, it will be totally fine, but, it was very unpleasant to find that news, and I feel like I wasted my time. I feel like I wasted your time. I don't know. And some of it's a lack of confidence, like, well, obviously my content has been bad lately, and blah, 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 etc. So I apologize, internet. That's not really how I like to represent myself, and I should be better at this by now. It's been years that I've been doing this. You would think by now I'd have a better handle on how to do these things, but all right. Looks like the cop was resurrected. A lot of these probably are because we drove through here previously and we probably ran over a few of them. Motorcycle boots, not super interesting. If it were the armor, we would take it. What armor are we wearing on our legs? Well, I think literally none, right? I think it's just leather pants. We definitely need to work on that. Can we make chitin at this point? I don't have any books with me. We can't make chitin leggings or leg guard. Actually, I think chitin armor is torso and legs. It's one item, but we should look into making some leg guards when we get an opportunity. I don't really care about leg encumbrance too much, so that's not a huge concern. And this is what the next few episodes are going to look like. We're going to spend some time shooting our way to those buildings of interest, right? So we have a lot of bullets as established previously, so it's not a huge concern for us to spend even hundreds and hundreds of rounds would barely make a dent in our ammo supply. So I'm not terribly concerned about ammunition. Wait for the critical there on that feral. Nothing of interesting. Of interest, looks like it was a mail carrier hat. And this, I don't know why you would ever wear 2 tank tops, but I guess the tank tops show up twice in that item group. And we've largely cleared this area. The sludge trails really help us out as well because they slow the enemies so much. What we should do is push over here and try to pulp these while we have the opportunity while they're down. And I think we'll just start using the P command instead of manually aiming. It just saves us a lot of key presses and time. No bionics. Whoops. Yes, stop. Hello, hand thing. What are you called again? Flesh raptors. That's right. The grappler is not a huge concern. I'm surprised they didn't come out in our initial batch of shooting. Yeah, we're gonna miss this hand raptor a lot. Flesh raptor. Let's wait a long time and see what we can get. We are getting the horde music, so I'm a little concerned about what might be nearby. Thankfully, they have very low HP because they are basically just hands with wings. So why am I getting horde music? I don't see that many. Man, we're seeing a lot of acid zombies. You're the 4th one. Oh good, he's back outside my window again. You know what, internet? I have no idea what time we're at. I think we're going to call the episode here. It's just been one of those days where everything's stacked up against me and I'm really feeling not great and I don't want to drag this down. So everybody, I will come back in the next episode with a little bit more energy, hopefully with a better perspective. And I appreciate those of you who hung in. A lot of you probably checked out already. So those of you that remain, thank you for being a fan or whatever. And I'll be back with more Cataclysm in the near future. So see you next time.